I never thought I'd be writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mark, and I'm telling this story because maybe someone out there needs to hear it. Someone who's going through the same pain, the same heartbreak. My wife Emily and I have been married for about 8 years. We have a daughter, Lily, who's been into gymnastics since she was 6. When Lily started competing more seriously, Emily became this full-on stage mom, always at the gym, always cheering, always pushing. At first, I thought it was sweet. She was proud of Lily, and honestly, I was too. But something shifted around the last competition season, something I didn't put together right away. Emily started acting weird. She'd come home late, pretend she was working late at her job or doing meeting stuff. I wasn't naive. I knew she was busy, but her phone started ringing constantly, and she'd hide it whenever I walked into the room. Little things. The way she'd suddenly get defensive if I asked about her evening plans or if I mentioned Lily's progress. It was like she was hiding something. I brushed it off at first, thinking maybe she just needed a distraction. Or maybe she was just stressed with how competitive Lily was getting. But then I found the receipts. I was doing laundry one weekend and I noticed receipts shoved in her purse that I didn't recognize. It was from a hotel downtown near the gym, places I knew she'd never mentioned staying at before. Curious, I looked through her things more carefully. That's when I found the hotel receipts. They showed 2 adjoining rooms booked for that weekend, just a few days before I saw her acting strange after Lily's last meet. I couldn't believe my eyes. She had lied about staying on different floors, claiming she was alone or with her gym mom friends. But the receipts proved otherwise. Adjoining rooms, that's not just a mistake or coincidence. That's a clear sign of an affair. My stomach dropped. I felt like I was punched in the gut. I was furious, but mostly I was bewildered. How could she do this? How could she cheat on me, right in the middle of everything, while Lily's dreams and our family's stability hung in the balance? I remember feeling betrayed but also numb, like my whole world was splitting apart. I kept staring at those receipts, feeling the weight of it all sinking in. I had to confront her. I knew I couldn't just pretend it didn't happen, so I waited until she came home that evening, trying to hold it together. When she finally walked in, I just asked her straight, "Emily, who were you really with this weekend?" Her face changed instantly, a mix of anger and contempt. She tried to deny it, said I was paranoid, that I was overthinking, that I was accusing her of something crazy. But I didn't believe her. The receipts didn't lie. That's when the real tension started. She got bitchy, really bitchy. "You're always accusing me of shit, Mark," she snapped. "Maybe if you paid more attention, you'd see I'm busy supporting Lily, or maybe you'd see I'm entitled to a little fun. I work my ass off and I deserve some respite. It's not like I cheated on you with some random guy. It's just sex, for God's sake." Her words stung. It felt like she was trying to minimize everything, make me feel crazy for even bringing it up. But I wasn't crazy. I knew what I saw. I felt the rage bubbling inside. How dare she dismiss my feelings, dismiss what I'd found out? How dare she sit there and talk about fun like it was no big deal? I couldn't take it anymore. I told her I knew she'd been cheating and I demanded she tell me the truth. Her face twisted into something ugly. She kept lying, spinning stories about how she was just talking to this coach, how it was innocent, just some emotional affair that meant nothing. But I saw through her. I knew her well enough to see she was bullshitting. And her reaction, it was like she thought she could just lie her way out of it. That's when I started feeling the cold realization this was going to change everything. I needed to figure out what to do next, but I knew one thing for sure: the trust was shattered, completely broken. And once I saw the receipts and her bitchy attitude, I knew I'd be damned if I let her get away with it. I was angry, yeah, but mostly I was hurt. Deep down, I always believed we had something real. Now I was questioning everything: her love, her honesty, our family. It felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff, not knowing whether I should jump or try to fight for what was left of us. So here I am, telling this story because I know I'm not the only one. People screw up, people cheat. But the real question is, what do you do when the thing you trusted most turns out to be a lie? After I confronted Emily that night, everything changed. She didn't really deny it after a while, just kept twisting words, acting like she was the victim. "You don't understand," she said, voice dripping with sarcasm. "It's not what you think. I was just lonely, stressed, overwhelmed with Lily's competition. It meant nothing, just sex, Mark. It's not like I'm leaving you or anything. That's when I felt like I was losing my mind. I looked at her and saw this bitchy, selfish woman who thought she could brush it off, that this was just some minor slip-up. But it was. It was betrayal, nothing less. The worst part, I still loved her. Or at least I wanted to love her. My mind was a mess. I kept thinking about all those moments. I was supposed to be her partner, her confidant. And she was out there, sneaking around behind my back with some coach she met during Lily's competitions, an arrogant guy, probably in his 30s, who had no right to be in my wife's life. And the hotel receipts, that was the proof I needed. I couldn't unsee it. The adjoining rooms, the late-night calls, she'd lied about everything. Said she was with her friends, that she was supporting Lily, but I knew better now. I remember the anger boiling inside, but underneath that there was a cold, sick feeling, a crushing weight of disappointment. How could she do this? How could she turn everything we had into just a weekend of lies and sex? I was furious, but I was also heartbroken. I spent days just walking around, replaying everything in my head. I couldn't eat. Sleep was a joke. The betrayal hit harder than any punch. I felt like I was drowning in my own confusion. I didn't want to believe it was true, but the evidence was right there, staring me in the face. I kept thinking about the little girl Lily was turning into. What kind of example was this? How do I explain to her that her mother did something so selfish and stupid? I decided I had to plan my next move. I needed to know if there was more than just this one weekend. Had she been cheating before? Was this a one-time thing? I started digging through her phone, her emails, her social media. I found texts, pictures, nothing explicit, but enough to confirm she was emotionally involved, maybe even more. She'd been lying all along, hiding the truth behind her bitchy deflections and fake tears. I felt like I was losing control of my own life, like the ground was shifting beneath me. The hardest part was feeling the betrayal from the woman I'd trusted for so long. Emily had always been a bit bitchy, yeah, but I never thought she'd cheat on me like this, right under my nose. It made me question everything. Was I blind? Was I just too stupid to see what she was doing? I kept asking myself if I could even save what was left of us, or if I should just cut my losses and walk away. Every time I looked at Lily's innocent face, I wondered if she'd ever understand what her mother had done. Could I forgive her? Could I forgive myself for not noticing sooner? Over the next few days, I stayed quiet, trying to process what to do next. I knew I had to confront her again, but I also knew I needed some space to think. I kept feeling this roller coaster of emotions: rage, sadness, betrayal, then a strange sense of helplessness. I hated myself for feeling this way because I still loved her. Somewhere deep down, I kept telling myself that maybe, just maybe, she'd come clean, apologize, and we could somehow fix it. But I knew that was wishful thinking. Deep down, I understood that trust, once broken this badly, was almost impossible to repair. I felt like I was standing at a crossroads, and I wasn't sure whether to fight for her or just walk away and cut my losses. What made everything worse? The fact that I still cared enough to want to save what little we had left. And that's what hurts the most, the realization that I was willing to forgive, but she wasn't even trying to be honest. She kept lying, kept gaslighting me. I wasn't sure if she was sorry, or just sorry she got caught. I was tired of the lies, tired of the fake smiles and bitchy attitude. I wanted the truth, no matter how ugly it was. But I also knew that once I found out the full extent of her betrayal, things would never be the same. And honestly, I was scared of what that meant for us. The confrontation that followed wasn't something I ever imagined having to face so soon after discovering her lies. I told Emily I knew everything about the hotel receipts, the secret weekends, the texts, the way she'd been sneaking around behind my back. She tried to deny it, of course, throwing out the same tired excuses about stress, loneliness, and how she just needed something different to feel alive again. Her voice was sharp, bitchy, like I was just some obstacle she had to push past to get what she wanted. "You're so insecure, Mark," she spat. "You think I was cheating because I wanted sex. God, you're so clueless. It's not about that. You're just too blind to see how much I do for this family, how much I sacrifice. Maybe you're the one who's been cheating on me on." Lily, on everything we built. That's when I realized how deep her narcissism ran. She was twisting everything, making herself the victim, trying to make me feel guilty for catching her. It was classic. Her bitchy attitude, her constant gaslighting. She'd been doing that for years, probably. I felt a surge of anger, but also heartbreak. The woman I thought I knew wasn't who she claimed to be. I saw the way she looked at me, full of contempt, like I was just some inconvenience she had to deal with. She denied everything, but I had the receipts, the texts, the hotel invoices. I told her I didn't believe her lies anymore, that I'd seen enough. That was the moment I decided I wasn't going to let her get away with this. Her reaction was outright nasty. "You're a jealous idiot," she snapped, her bitchy tone sharper than ever. "I don't owe you any explanations. Honestly, I don't even know why I married you in the first place. You're so dull, so insecure. Maybe I needed someone more exciting, someone who could keep me interested." I could see the venom in her eyes. It made me want to shake. Tell her how much she'd hurt me, how she'd destroyed the trust we had. But I kept my cool, even though everything inside me was screaming. I told her I was done believing her lies and that I needed an honest answer, whether she was going to stay or leave, whether she was going to try to fix this mess or just keep lying until there was nothing left. Her face twisted into this ugly sneer. "You think I'm just going to sit here and take this?" she said. "You're so insecure, Mark. I can do whatever I want. If I want sex, I'll have sex. If I want to see other people, I will. It's not like I'm cheating on you emotionally, just some fun, some escape from your boring-ass life." That hit me hard. Her words made me feel small, insignificant, like I was just some placeholder she was settling for. The nerve of her trying to justify this betrayal by calling it fun. I felt my fists tighten. My stomach churned. How could she say that? How could she be so selfish and bitchy? I looked at her and realized that trying to get her to own up was pointless. She was a master at manipulation. So I decided I had to be the one to decide what came next. I told her I needed time to think, to process everything, that I couldn't stay in a marriage where trust was so broken. And her response? She dismissed me, told me I was overreacting, that I was just insecure and jealous. She even had the nerve to accuse me of not loving her enough, of not letting her live her life. At that moment, I felt like I was losing my grip. I saw her bitchy smirk, and I knew she was planning her next move, probably to gaslight me further or spin it as if I was the bad guy. But I refused to be her punching bag anymore. I told her I was done with her lies, done with pretending everything was okay. I told her I wanted a divorce. If she was going to keep lying and sneering at me like that, I deserved better. I wanted her out of my life, out of Lily's life, and I wanted the truth, no matter how ugly it was. I knew this was just the beginning of a long, painful process. And honestly, I wasn't sure if I had the strength to go through with it, but I knew I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay. Not anymore. Not after finding out she'd been cheating on me with her coach, sneaking off to hotel rooms like some cheap whore. That betrayal cut too deep, and I was finally ready to face the fallout. In the days that followed, everything felt like a blur. I moved through my house like a ghost, trying to process the shock of her betrayal, the weight of her lies, and the overwhelming sense that my entire world was crumbling. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her bitty smirk, her dismissive attitude, the hotel receipts that proved she'd been lying to my face. I kept asking myself how I missed it, how I didn't see the signs. I'd been so blind, so wrapped up in supporting Lily, that I never thought Emily was capable of this level of selfishness. Now I was stuck with the aftermath of her betrayal, wondering how I'd pick up the pieces. I started talking to a lawyer. I knew I had to get things in motion, divorce, custody, the whole legal mess, but that was just the paperwork. What hit me even harder was the emotional fallout. I'd trusted Emily. We'd been a team, or at least I thought so. Turns out she'd been betraying me behind my back for months, probably longer. The thought made my stomach churn. I felt stupid, naive. I kept replaying moments. Her bitchy attitude during arguments, the way she'd sometimes dismiss Lily's needs, her passive-aggressive comments about my boring personality. All of it was a mask covering for the real Emily. And then there was Lily. Our daughter was too young to really understand what was happening, but I saw the confusion in her eyes. She'd been so proud of her mom, trusting her completely. Now she was starting to pick up on the tension, the silence, the avoided looks. I didn't want her to grow up thinking betrayal was normal. I knew I had to shield her from the worst of it, but I also knew I couldn't protect her from the truth forever. I had to decide whether to tell her about her mom's infidelity or wait until she was older. Either way, it tore me apart inside. Meanwhile, Emily kept acting bitchy, dismissive, like she was the victim here. Every time I tried to talk about the divorce, about her lying to my face, she'd throw a fit, accuse me of being controlling or paranoid. "You're overreacting," she'd say. "It's just sex. It doesn't mean anything. You're making a big deal out of nothing." That's when I realized her narcissism was worse than I thought. She didn't even care how much she hurt me. She just wanted to keep her image intact, to keep acting like she was the innocent victim. It was infuriating. One day she snapped at me during one of our discussions. "You're so insecure, Mark," she spat. "You're just mad because I cheated and you're too weak to handle it. Honestly, I don't even want to be with someone like you. Maybe I deserve better." I felt like I'd been punched again. That bitchy, condescending attitude made my blood boil. How dare she sit there and tell me I was the problem? I wanted to scream, to yell at her that she was the one who broke everything. But I just clenched my fists and walked away. I knew I needed to stay calm, even if everything inside me was screaming to tear her apart. And that's the thing about betrayal. Once it's out in the open, everything changes. Trust is gone. The woman I married, the woman I loved, had turned into this manipulative, selfish, bitchy person who thought her lies and her cheating didn't matter. Every day I woke up feeling more betrayed, more angry, more broken. I started questioning everything: our vows, her love, my own worth. How did I let it get this far? How did I not see it coming? The guilt and shame were almost as bad as the anger. I kept telling myself I should have known better, should have seen the signs, but I was blindsided. Completely. Despite all this, I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't stay married to a woman who thought so little of me, who lied to my face and dismissed my feelings. I had to decide whether to fight for the marriage, give her an ultimatum, or just walk away and start over. Honestly, I was exhausted from the emotional roller coaster. But deep down, I knew I couldn't keep living in this betrayal. My trust was shattered. My heart was broken. And the only thing I could do now was figure out what was best for me and Lily, whether that meant fighting for a fresh start or ending it all. The decision to divorce didn't come easily, but deep down, I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. The weight of her betrayal was crushing. I remember sitting in my car one afternoon, staring at the house I used to call home, feeling like I was watching it all from outside myself. My mind was racing. Should I give her one last chance? Should I try to salvage what was left? Or was it better to cut my losses and move on? The truth was, I was tired of fighting her bitchy attitude, tired of being lied to, tired of feeling like I was just some fool who didn't see what was happening under his nose. I called a divorce lawyer and set everything in motion. The legal process was a nightmare. Lots of back and forth, custody arrangements, dividing assets. But even as I navigated that, the emotional toll was worse. I kept replaying every moment: the lies, her smirk at the confrontation, the hotel receipts, the way she dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. It made me question everything about our marriage, about who she really was. I used to think she was the love of my life, but now I saw her as someone who'd been hiding her true nature all along. A selfish, manipulative woman with no regard for the marriage vows or my feelings. Lily was still too young to understand all of it, but I knew she sensed the tension. I tried to shield her from the worst, but I couldn't shield her from the truth forever. Sometimes I'd catch her looking at her mom with those innocent eyes, and I felt a stabbing pain in my heart. How do you tell a kid that her mother been lying, cheating, sneering at her own family? I decided I'd keep that to myself for now, just focus on protecting her and giving her stability. But I also felt the weight of guilt. Guilt that I hadn't seen Emily's true nature sooner, guilt for breaking my vows, guilt that I might have failed as a husband and a father. Meanwhile, Emily kept acting the part of the bitchy, entitled wife. She'd throw tantrums when I brought up the divorce, call me insecure or obsessive. "You're just jealous," she said once, her bitchy tone making my stomach turn. "You're too afraid to be alone. Honestly, Mark, I don't even know why I married you. You're so dull, so predictable. I needed someone more exciting, someone who could give me what I want." That moment, I saw right through her. She was trying to spin it as if I was the problem, as if her betrayal was just a minor slip-up. But I knew better. She was a manipulative woman who thought she could get away with anything. I started to realize the true depth of her narcissism. She'd always been bitchy, but now I saw how her bitchiness was just a mask, covering her contempt, her selfishness, her total lack of accountability. Every day, I felt like I was waking up in a world I no longer recognized. How could she be so callous, so dismissive of our vows, of Lily, of everything we built? She'd lied, cheated, and then had the nerve to act like I was overreacting or paranoid. That's when I decided I was done playing her game. Enough was enough. I told her she could keep her lies, keep her fake attitude. I was walking away. The irony was I still loved her in some twisted way, but love wasn't enough. Trust was gone. The betrayal had cut too deep. I realized I needed to put myself and Lily first, and that meant ending this toxic, bitchy charade. I couldn't be married to someone who thought so little of me, who treated our vows like they were optional. So I told her I was leaving. I told her I never wanted to see her act so bitchy and entitled again. And I told her that she'd have to live with the consequences of her actions. Now, I guess I'm in the aftermath, trying to pick up the pieces of a marriage that was broken beyond repair. There's a part of me that's still angry, still hurt, still confused. But there's another part that feels relief. Relief that I finally stood up for myself, that I finally saw through her bitchy facade, that I'm finally taking control of my life again. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I'll never let someone betray me that way again. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's almost impossible to fix. Best to walk away before it destroys you completely. Now, as I sit here reflecting on everything, I realize how much this whole ordeal has changed me. I used to believe in forever, in the idea that marriage was about trust and loyalty, about standing by each other through thick and thin. But Emily's betrayal proved me wrong. People, even the ones you love most, can hide their true selves behind a bitchy smile and a mask of innocence. I learned that sometimes, the person you think you know best can turn out to be the one who hurts you the most. Divorce has been messy, no doubt about it. Legal battles, custody disputes, the endless back and forth. But at the end of the day, I feel a strange sense of relief. It's like I've finally taken a deep breath after holding it for too long. I no longer have to wonder who she's texting late at night, or why she's always bitchy and dismissive. I finally see her for what she is, a selfish, manipulative woman who thought her lies and her cheating could stay hidden forever. What's worse, I see how her attitude affected Lily. My little girl is too young to understand everything, but she's perceptive. She senses the tension, the anger, the sadness. I promised myself I'd do everything I could to give her a better life, one free of her mother's bitchy attitude and lies. I want her to grow up knowing what honesty and loyalty really mean. I want her to see that even when people betray you, you can pick yourself up and move forward. Looking back, I see how Emily's bitchy, entitled behavior was just a cover for her selfishness. Her lying, her sneering, her dismissiveness, those were her weapons to keep control, to hide her true nature. But I refuse to be her victim anymore. I've learned that sometimes, walking away is the only way to save yourself. Trust is earned, and once it's broken, it's nearly impossible to repair. Better to recognize the signs early and get out before you get completely destroyed. Now I focus on rebuilding my life, taking things slow, working on myself and Lily. I've lost a lot, but I've gained clarity. I see that I was giving too much of myself to someone who didn't deserve it. I see that I have strength I didn't know I had. And I know that someday I'll find love again, someone who values honesty, loyalty, and respect, not someone who acts like Emily, bitchy and selfish until the end. So if there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this: trust your instincts. When things don't feel right, don't ignore the signs. If someone is bitchy, manipulative, and lying to your face, Don't keep pretending it's just a phase or that it will get better, because it won't. Cut your losses, walk away, and don't look back. Life's too short to waste on betrayal and lies. Be strong enough to choose yourself, because in the end, that's the only way to truly find peace.